Hey everyone, let's do some drawing. Apologies, I just started this one and the camera angle was ever so slightly off, so the camera was picking up my hand rather than the drawing. So bear with, we're just gonna start a little way into the drawing this time, but that's okay. So I'll sort of go back over what I was just rambling about, and this is another character. This one's Ayla, and she's a spellcaster. Her mini game, because we talked about the mini games in the last couple of videos, is about collecting and gathering resources around the wastes and using them in her spell casting. So that's unique to Ayla. No other character will be able to do that. And what it will be is you gather things around, small bones and feathers, insects, stuff of that nature, and with that you'll be able to cast an array of readied incantations, and it just gives you something else to do in the game, where you're exploring, because I don't want the exploring phase to be any less engaging than the battle phase. I think that's important, and trying to make all the characters have something like that. But that's not her whole kit. She's a very complex character in that she also has something called Blight, and I think this game uses Blight in a different way than I've seen other games use Blight, in that when you attack an enemy, if you're using a Blight attack, it will be a much lower damaging sort of engagement. However, you have a chance of inflicting that foe with Blight, and what that does is it puts a sort of a negative status on that foe, and every time they go to heal, you will roll against it, and that will be what you reduce from the foe's Blight. And as you upgrade that, it becomes more and more of quite a powerful way of reducing an enemy's way to sustain themselves, which is pretty cool, I think. Yeah, so just doing a few little details. Ella's a weird one. Originally she was a shapeshifter and she had all these other things that she could do, but it turned out that she had a little bit too much going on, and when we playtesting this character, we found that she was just so complex and had so much going on that stole quite a few of her little bits and put in other characters. So she's actually spawned multiple characters herself, which is kind of cool, man. So she is sort of a witch-like character, spellcaster, gathering ingredients, and then on top of that, she is a sort of a mid-range fighter. She'll kind of dive in, do a low damaging attack, and then get back out. That's her playstyle, which I think is a really cool, cool way of playing, which kind of feels like kind of roguey, and yeah, quite like that. So she's got lots of little mushrooms growing on her, and she's got this sort of long cloak thing, but it almost acts like a tail, and this is where like her almost Druidic roots will sort of sprout from and wrap around, and she's quite a good controller character. Make some roots. Again, I'm not really paying attention to what I've drawn. I'm just using it as a sort of a guide. So, how is everyone doing today? Hope you got your cuppa. I've got mine. There we go. Nice. So, I've been thinking about the next couple of videos, maybe even trying a little bit of sort of soft music in the background. Just think that's enjoyable, but also maybe put a little bit less of a push for me to talk while I draw, because it's a strange skill, and I certainly haven't become an expert in any way, shape, or form of that, because drawing has always been quite quiet. activity for me. So the idea of having to draw and talk about what I'm drawing is it's just sort of something I have to learn. I'll get there. But yeah, so a little bit of music. I don't know what you're thinking. Love to know your thoughts. So if you do have any thoughts around that, let me know, because I kind of want this channel not only to be a little space for me to explore the characters and sort of have a little running documentary of how I came to create this game, but also I want it to be sort of a community-led thing, because I think multiple minds are always better than one. Yeah. So, a few little plants, nothing special, and then lots of roots, because I don't know, I think it's anything wormy or rooty is just really nice to draw, and it's kind of chill. Right, where we going? Where should we go? Let's go here. So yeah, it's a little bit samey, this one, just adding lots of little details, little mushroom caps. Always big fan of mushrooms and fungi. And I think there's a big element of that within the game. The idea of rotting and decaying. I just think that's it's going to play quite a big part in the game. We'll talk about that more in detail another time. But yeah, I'm not really sure what the best way is to go about exploring this world, because there's, like I said in the previous videos, it is something I've been working on for a fair few years, and sometimes I forget, I haven't actually talked about something and I start rambling on and there's no real frame of reference. But maybe with that, it's a little bit of mystery, and maybe that's a good thing. Yeah, maybe. So anyway, lots of details, a few little roots and stuff like that. We'll try and keep this one about 10-12 minutes, which will be easier because I was already drawing for a few minutes and messed up, so I got a little bit of a head start, cheeky head start. All right, I'll do another little mushroom here, like that. Yeah. Oh, and I'm going to see about creating a little, not front cover, but a little intro image, or maybe even a little stop motion or sped up version of, the title of my channel, because now I actually have one, which is good. All right, there we are. Another little mushroom. Don't want a little bit of shade in there. Cool. Where else are we going? So we've talked about the tethers before and how important they are in the game and sort of what they add. But also just, I don't know, anything kind of like cabley and, like, again, rooty is fun to draw. I just think it adds a lot of depth to it. All right. But again, this is meant to be a sketch, and just a nice little exercise for me as well, to just keep drawing these characters and keep them familiar. Oh, look at that. I actually noticed I was going off the camera then. I am learning very slowly. I was also thinking about drawing some sort of like more fantasy-esque characters, and because I'm playing a little bit of D&D at the moment. Wonderful campaign with a few really close friends, and it's just been such a blast, and we've got some pretty cool characters at the moment. So I wondered if that would be some of you would like to see, like me drawing the characters that we're playing with, and I think that'd be quite cool. All right, so I'm just going to carry on, just drawing this real quick. That's a bit more of the cable coming underneath. Originally it was on top, I forgot. And the best thing about this, the tethers, that they're not quite real. They're not quite physical, as well as they're not quite and totally, like ethereal. So we were talking about the tethers and what carries your stuff back and forth. So I've drawn a very sketchy version of the isopods, which are these giant creatures that, you know, can be bought or tamed to actually grab your bags and retrieve them. And these are the many limbs holding this bag. So as you progress in the game, you'll be able to like grab one or two or even more. Depends if you want to, you know, be really specialized. Hey, I said it nearly first time. Specialized in, you know, gathering and bringing stuff back and forth, because that will be a very useful role. Oh, sorry, I don't know if you can hear the siren outside. Very loud. Right. But also these creatures are notorious for finding sleeping wanderers, these characters, or pilgrims or lures, depending on their role in the game. And they will actually find you and latch on, and they drain compos mentis, which is kind of like your, I suppose, your mental well-being away from you, and sort of like kind of nasty creatures. Anyway, that's about it. Well, I'll do a nice little photo to finish off, but yeah, happy with that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and having a lovely day. You take care. Bye bye.